Happy greetings to one and all watching this video. This is Rishika and this video is all about my personal historical analysis of the novel, drumroll please, The Glass Palace by Amitav Ghosh. So before starting with this one, I wanted to talk about Leo Tolstoy. Well, Leo Tolstoy is a Russian author who wrote the novel War and Peace. Now, War and Peace is considered to be one of the finest work of literature of all time. But while writing the novel, all Leo wanted to do was to write a short novel because he got inspired when this Decembrist people returned from their exile to Russia. So, who are all these Decembrist people? Decembrist people were the one who led the Decembrist revolt of 1825. This revolt was led in Russia and it was supposed to throw monarchy out of its way. But unfortunately, they failed. So, this happened after the sudden demise of Alexander I, the Emperor of Russia. So Leo thought to himself, how could I just start with the Decembrist people if what could my readers understand about this? We have to start with the root cause. So he went to the root cause. The root cause as in the Napoleon Bonaparte's invasion into Russia, which took place when Emperor Alexander I was there. So we all know who Napoleon Bonaparte is. He is a French political leader who rose to prominence after the French Revolution that took place. And he's kind of an overly ambitious dude and he tried to capture every places that he could lay his eyes on. So that's how he came to Russia and invaded Russia successfully. So after this only, but the novel, he started with the Napoleon's Bonaparte's invasion itself. So and he started to write about it and he wrote for a historical fiction for 1200 pages. Now, you may ask to yourselves, what is the connection between War and Peace and the Glass Palace? There is, okay? Now, the Glass Palace starts with its protagonist, that is a 11-year-old Indian boy, that is Rajkumar Raha, who's orphan and works as an errand boy in a ship. This ship has finally come to Mandalay due to some repair works and he works in a food stall for Macho. So there, the Third Anglo-Burmese War breaks out. And all Burma people starts abusing and tormenting Rajkumar, telling that their own people have actually come to invade them because the British army was basically filled with mostly Indians because the British army already have colonized India by then and then they were recruiting Indian officers into their army. So they were all abusing Rajkumar Raha, telling that his own people have come to invade them. Finally, Sayajan, his mentor, who is also main character in this novel, comes and rescues him and acts as his father to him. This same time, there is King Thibaw and Queen Supailat in the Glass Palace, who has finally lost their war and now the monarchy is thrown out of Burma. So the Glass Palace is being looted and every people are entering the Glass Palace to get all the things they can find. And then at that time, Rajkumar also enters the palace where he meets Queen Supailat's maid, that is Dolly. He becomes quite infatuated with Dolly and falls in love with her with the first sight itself. And this exile happens and the queen and king goes to Ratnagiri for their exile where they live in Outram house. After 20 years, Rajkumar Raha turns out to be a very successful timber business man who works in Rangoon. Now, he is still in love with Dolly after all these years and wants to meet and marry her. Now, Dolly is working in Ratnagiri as a main servant for the king and queen. Now, he goes there to convince her to marry him. There, he makes an acquaintance of Uma De and Benny De Prasad. Benny De Prasad is the collector of Rangoon at that time and he dies in an accident that it is not sure if it is an accident or a suicide, might be both. And Uma De becomes a widow. Now, Rajkumar and Dolly gets together and they marry. Now, they move to Rangoon and Uma also comes with them. Uma after goes on in a search of her purpose in life. So, she goes to Europe and then America. She meets lots of people and understands what is happening in India about the colonization and stuff. Dolly gives birth to two sons, that is Neil Raha and Dinu Raha. Neil and Dinu turns out to be two sides of the same coin. Neil is all charismatic and extroverted while Dinu is introverted. But both of them grow up to be very successful individuals. Neil marries Manju. Manju is the daughter of Uma's brother and they both move to Rangoon and there Manju gives birth to a daughter, that is Jaya. Now Manju also has a twin brother. This brother Arjun is a part of British Indian Army and he gets appointed to work in Singapore to defend the impending Second World War that is happening. And here, Dinu is also there in Singapore along with Alison. Alison is Saya John's granddaughter. They both fell in love and they're having a relationship in there. Finally, the Japanese invade Singapore and also Burma. So when this is the Second World War that is happening. Finally, Arjun realizes that he has been fighting a war that is not even his own. Arjun realizes that he has been fighting for the Britishers, while the Britishers are the one who has actually colonized his country. Now, when he realizes it, that too late, he deserts the post along with fellow military officers. Now, Second World War had its own toll. We had lost Alison, Saya John, Arjun, Neil, and Neil's wife Manju. So finally, Rajkumar and Dolly escape from Burma to India along with the baby child Jaya. They come and live with Uma's family, and their Jaya grows up to be a very successful individual. That is, she's doing her PhD in history of photography. Now, when she has been looking at her own family pictures that are taken in the old times, she realizes that someone is missing. And when she asks that, her family answers that it is the photographer who is her own uncle, that is her father's brother. So they haven't heard from Dinu from all these years. So she goes in search of that, and she finally finds that Dinu is alive and well in Rangoon. Now, Dinu and Jaya finally reunite. Dinu gives a brief about what has been happening in Burma for all these years. Though Burma got its independence by 1948, a year after Indian independence, it has never been truly independent. It is because it got it under the leadership of Burma Socialist Program Party, which basically established military dictatorship there in complete Burma. Now, the National League of Democracy tried to establish democracy there, and they actually won votes. This is under Aung San Suu Kyi, and Aung San Suu Kyi was house arrested for this. Now, Aung San Suu Kyi is the daughter of Aung San, who is considered to be the father of modern Myanmar. Now, Dinu and Jaya goes to a speech that is given by Aung San Suu Kyi, and they realizes the pathetic condition that Burma is in. Jaya returns to India in a positive note to write a novel about what has been happening in all these years in India, Malaysia and Burma. But she never got the chance to write it. So, who is the narrator of The Glass Palace? Apparently, it is Jaya's son. We only get revealed of this at the last paragraph of the novel. Now, I am returning to the question that I hope has haunted you for the entire video. That is the connection between War and Peace and Glass Palace. War and Peace and Glass Palace both started with wars. War and Peace started with the French people invading Russia, while the Glass Palace started with the Third Anglo-Burmese War. And what happened throughout the novel could be considered as the aftermath of both these wars. We can't say that this is just the aftermath of these two wars, but also the consecutive wars that happened through the eyes of our fictionalized characters. War and Peace actually ran for a decade, while the Glass Palace ran for one entire century, and we got to see 4 generations of people and lots of war. We started with the Third Anglo-Burmese War, we saw the First World War, we saw the Second World War, and we saw how India got its independence and how the Burma hasn't. War and Peace doesn't have any context about the Russian Revolution because it was written before the Russian Revolution. While it comes to the Glass Palace, it was written in the year 2000, and we could see little historical significant things that led its way for Indians to revolt against the Britishers and how India got its independence. There were other similar themes that were common for both War and Peace and the Glass Palace. They were actually the love and affairs, the bankruptcies and poverties, and also the discrimination that is, in case of War and Peace, there was the discrimination between the higher class, that is the aristocrats, and the lower class. While it comes to the novel The Glass Palace, we could see that discrimination between different races of people. So I consider the Glass Palace to be the War and Peace of a century-old revolution in India, Burma and Malaysia. So that is my historical analysis about both of these novels. Thank you.